Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be choosing my very first monthly TBR of 2026. I cannot wait to get into all of my reading plans for 2026, so I'm very excited to go through the books that I'm going to be kicking off the year with. Per usual in these kind of choosing my monthly TBR videos, we're gonna stand up in a second. We're gonna go through my bookshelves. We're going to select some books that I will hopefully be reading this month. To be honest, I do view my monthly TBRs as more of like, you know, some options that I could read for the month. Sometimes I do a good job with it. Sometimes, despite my best laid plans, it doesn't happen. But I feel like if there's ever a month where I'm gonna stick to my monthly TBR, it's January. You know, it's the beginning of the year. We're all very motivated, so we'll see how this goes. So we could just stand up and go look through my shelves. I don't really have much of a vibe that I'm going for January. Maybe some wintry books, maybe some fantasy books. But aside from that, I mean, like, that's not really doing a whole lot, so I don't know what else I'm gonna read. But the first two books that I would like to talk about today are actually from the lovely sponsor of today's video, who is Book of the Month. I love working with Book of the Month. They are also having their centennial this year, which is very exciting. If you guys don't know, Book of the Month is a bookish subscription service, and basically how it works is every single month their team vets hundreds of different books from different authors, different genres, different vibes, you know, and they come out with a curated selection of 5 to 7 books that you can choose from, and then they will just show up at your door, which is very handy. I love being able to look at the Book of the Month selections for every single month to kind of see what's going on in the other genres. I normally stick to fantasy, but they have a nice selection of basically everything you could want. I also love their skip policy, so if you're not really feeling any of their selections for the month, you can skip at no charge. They also do offer the best price on new hardcover fiction. As I've said many times before, buying a new hardcover kind of makes me want to cry a little bit because they're so expensive. So I love having Book of the Month as an option, especially this January, because they are running a deal right now where you can get your first book for just $5 with the code GOALS. That is a new hardcover book for just $5, which is actually a little bit unbelievable in this day and age. So very, very happy about that, obviously. So let me show you guys a couple of their selections for the month. I'll show you the 2 that I picked out from their lineup, but they do have so many others if you would like to go check them out. The first one being The Future Saints by Ashley Winstead. I do believe this is somewhat of an early release title. I think it comes out later into January, but you can get it now if you get it from Book of the Month. And I believe in this one you are following this record executive who is helping out this struggling rock band who is called The Future Saints. I believe they kind of go viral a little bit, and you're watching how everybody is dealing with that change that they are experiencing. So it sounds very different from what I normally pick up. It also sounds very different from what Ashley Winstead typically writes, so I'm very, very interested in this book. And then the other book I decided to pick up is The Odds of You by Kate Dramas. I believe this is a like contemporary romance. It's got fake dating. One of our main characters is a struggling author, and she like is fake dating this movie star for some reason, but I love a fake dating setup. It's always the best time. Definitely one of my favorite romance tropes, so very excited to jump into this one. But they do have a bunch of other great selections for the month as well if you guys want to go check them out, so I will leave a link to them down below. And don't forget, you can get your first book for just $5 using the code GOALS this month, which again is such a deal. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video and supporting me and my channel. As I said, I love getting to work with Book of the Month, so thank you so much. Also, thank you so much to you guys who are watching this video for always supporting me and my channel. I appreciate you guys so much. You truly don't even know. So without further ado, it is time for us to get up and go select some more books for my January TBR. I have like maybe 2 ideas for what else could go on this list, but aside from that, we're just gonna find out. So let's go to the shelves. All right, so I'm thinking I would like to start at the top corner of my bookshelves here. I'm not gonna go through every single shelf because some of these shelves I have read everything on and we don't need to go through those. But I know I want to look at my sci-fi shelf a little bit because I would like to read some sci-fi in January. I'm thinking the one that I'm gonna pull off of this shelf is, oops, System Collapse by Martha Wells. This is the 7th Murderbot book, maybe? The 8th one comes out later this year, so I would like to have read this so I can read that one. And I'll go a little bit more into depth about these books later when we sit down, so don't worry. I think, you know, I could put some of these on the January TBR. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll pull down the Moon Day Letters. Maybe I'll actually read it. I know you, man. I know you guys are probably laughing at me saying I'm gonna read this book, but like, I'm never gonna read it if I don't put it on the TBR, so we're gonna pull it down. Then moving down, I have my little mass market paperback shelf, and I think there's just one book on this shelf that I would really like to read this month. All right, stay. And that is, if I can get it out, I do have these in order, so this is the next one that I need to read in the Discworld series, and that is Mort by Terry Pratchett. I've told you guys my Discworld plans many, many times, and they have fallen through many, many times. But it's my goal in 2026 to maybe read a Discworld book a month. Maybe I'll read one every 2 months. I just want to read like 6. We're gonna aim for 6, so we're gonna read Mort maybe this month. I do want to start out my year by reading at least one of the books that is on my 2026 TBR, so I do have a couple of those on this shelf, I believe, or these couple of shelves. The first one being Electra. Whoops, sorry, that's so loud. The first one being Electra by Jennifer Saint. As I said, this is on my 2026 TBR. It's a Greek myth retelling. Am I gonna read this month? Probably not. I might put it back. I don't know if that's happening. But I know I have a book that is on my yearly TBR down here, which I don't know if I'm going to read entirely in January, but I should probably start. I always, like, every time I go to grab this book, I want to call it The Strange Case. This is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. Obviously quite the brick. A little bit scary, a little bit intimidating. Are there illustrations in this? I love that they look like classic type illustrations. That's very cool. We're gonna pull this off. I'd like to read maybe like half of it in January, half of it in February kind of vibe, because I do have some very long reading plans, a bunch of long books that I'm planning to read later this year. So I don't want to leave this for the times when I'm already reading books that are very long, so we'll grab it off. We'll see. I think that might be everything off of these couple of shelves. I know one of my other goals, I'm not gonna do this month, I don't think, but one of my other goals this year is to restart the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I have read Assassin's Apprentice before, but it's been like two and a half years at this point, and I just never continued it, but I have all three of the books in the Farseer trilogy. And the next one in like the other trilogy. So obviously I need to reread Assassin's Apprentice so I can like get going on that. Don't know if I'm gonna do that this year. Should I pull, I might pull it off the shelf anyway. I'm gonna see if I can do this in January. We'll see. We'll see. One other book which absolutely needs to go on my January TBR because I am in the middle of it, and if I don't continue it at this point, will I ever? The answer's no. So I started the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook by Matt Dinniman. I started it like early, was it like late November maybe? All that to say, it's been a minute since I picked this book up and I need to get back into it. I don't even know where it was because I was listening to the audiobook for this, so I'll figure that out and I'll let you know where I was. What is this like dark line here? Interesting. Anyway, we're gonna pull this off because I need to finish this or else I'm just like not going to. This is one of my favorite times of year to do rereads of some of my favorite books. So I ended off 2025 with a reread of The Starless Sea, which was the best way to end off the year. I loved it. I finished it like 10 minutes before midnight. It was like the best experience. Have to say. And then yesterday I really needed an audiobook, so I figured why not continue my rereading escapade. It's not really an escapade because it's only two, but I decided to re-listen to, because I'm listening to the audiobook of it, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia Fairies, which has been so fun. Oh my god, I love this book so much. It's so good. I did just put it on the shelf so I could pull it out again for this clip, but I'm currently like 200 pages into it, so like this probably will be my first book finished in January. And I'm so not mad about that. I'm gonna listen to the rest of it today, probably. And then another book, which is like kind of related to some of the things that you can see in frame here, that I would like to read in January is not Yona of the Dawn, volume 42, but I think volume 45 came out recently. So I'm gonna like pull this off as a placeholder so I don't forget to talk about it. But another thing we need to talk about is the fact that Yona is ending soon, and I'm not okay. Like, I'm actually very unwell, especially like where things are in the series. I don't know what to do about that. But I'm gonna pull this off just so I remember to read the next volume. One book that I do for sure, actually I have two books on this shelf I think that I need to pull off. The first one being The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. This is my January Patreon buddy read, so we're gonna pull that off. And then, you guys are probably gonna be just disbelief. I know you don't believe me when I say I'm gonna read A Winter's Promise, but I promise, I'm gonna read A Winter's Promise this January, because I was gonna read it in December, and then I feel like I kind of faked you guys out. I'm sorry. But January, I'm really planning on reading this one, I promise. Another book that I'd really like to try to read, I might save this one for like February maybe, just because I don't think I'm gonna have enough time to read all of these now that I'm pulling them all off, is The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft. This one sounds really fun. I feel like I might say maybe like a March. Maybe this is like a March read. I feel like this could be a good March read. Oh, I could also read The Exorcism of Fairies. Maybe this is also a March read. Any book that's like green, I'm like, oh my god, should I read it in March? It has like nothing to do with the actual month, but like the cover just like it's giving March. I don't know what to say. We'll pull off these two for now. Okay, and then I think this is probably the last shelf that I would pull anything off of, because the shelves, or the two shelves above this, are like my fall and vampire books, which doesn't really, it's not really the vibe for January. But I don't really know if there are many books that I want to read off of the shelf. I feel like a lot of these I have read, which is shocking, honestly. But the one book that I'm currently in the middle of that's more of like a classic-y kind of vibe is Letters to a Young Poet by Rainier Maria Rilke. How far into this am I? I am 22 pages into this, and it's like 45 or whatever pages long. 48 pages long. So I just need to finish this up. Maybe I'll finish this up today. I could finish this up today if that feels doable. So I'll pull this off. I don't think there's anything else that I want to tackle this month. I feel like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, even though it like is not a classic, very much gives me the same intimidation that a classic gives me. So that's my challenge book for the month, we'll see. So I think for now, we'll leave these. I know some of these I would like to read later in the spring, such as And of Windy Poplars, want to read Mansfield Park later. Ooh, The War of the Worlds. Actually, I might pull The War of the Worlds off. I'm going on a trip soon. I might take this with me. I feel like it'll be kind of entertaining. You know, like, an alien invasion sounds pretty entertaining. So, we'll pull off The War of the Worlds. I feel like this will be a good one. When was this written? Does it tell me? 1960 doesn't sound right. Well, considering he died in 1946, I'm gonna assume this did not come out in 1960. I need to do some real research. I think that's just, like, this, I don't know, edition of it or whatever. We'll see, but these are the last two that I'm gonna pull out from my shelves. Guys, I think I chose too many books. Because why is my stack this big? That's the real question. Typically when I do these kind of like choosing my TBR videos, I try to keep it like at a manageable amount, maybe like 10 or 11, but I think I have 14, 15. So I really don't think I'm gonna be reading 15 books this month. Although to be fair, like I am halfway through some of these. Some of them I'm not gonna be reading in their entirety, so we'll see if I can whittle this down a little bit as we go through as well. So we'll see. But let me just quickly go through all the books that I've selected for this month. First up, I have Yona Volume 45. Obviously, we'll be reading Yoda Volume 45. I don't think I like the cover enough to buy it, so I'm gonna have to maybe get the ebook for it instead. But I don't even remember, honestly, how Volume 44 ended. I'll have to, actually, I'm not gonna get a refresher. I'll just go into it and see what happens. That's the only problem. Like, when I was binging Yona a couple of years ago, it was so nice because I would finish a volume and then go directly into the next one, so I would always know, like, what was going on. But now that I'm only reading a volume every 3 months when they come out, most of the time I just go in, I'm like, I guess I'll figure out what happened. So, but Yona Volume 45 will be happening. Letters to a Young Poet will also be happening. I only have 20 pages left, so I really hope I can manage to do that. Then I have The War of the Worlds. I'm very excited for The War of the Worlds. I read The Invisible Man in December and I really liked it, so I've been very interested in trying out this one. Also, still obsessed with this edition. I think it's so cool. Then I have more. Maybe I'll also bring this one with me on my trip. I feel like this would also be a good, like, entertaining trip kind of read, so we'll see. Then I have Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. The goal is to read like 500 pages of this book this month. Oh my god, the text is so small. I really am excited to read it, but I'm just like so intimidated by it. So we're gonna do it anyway though. We will. I think if there's ever a book that I could take off of this TBR, it's probably Assassin's Apprentice. Like, this probably is not happening. I want it to happen at some point this year, but I might save it for the fall. Even though I never actually do it, I do really like reading high fantasy in the fall. I feel like it's just a cozy time of year to pick up an epic story like this, so maybe like September, October? Maybe November. We'll see, but I'm gonna put that one to the side. And then I have The Moonday Letters by Emilia Taranta. Would really like to read this one, definitely planning on doing so. Then I have The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. This one is like a absolutely I need to read it kind of thing, and I'm very excited about this one because I've heard great things. Just the end of this blurb sounds really intriguing. It says it's both a sweeping adventure story and an intimate exploration of identity, legacy, and belonging. The Spear Cuts Through Water is an ambitious and profound saga that will transport and transform you and is like none you've ever read before. So we'll see. I think maybe there's some second person in this. I like books told in second person, so we'll see. We'll see. Then I have A Winter's Promise. God, it'll happen. Don't worry. Don't even worry your pretty little head about it. Piranesi. I'm currently in the middle of Piranesi. I am on page 35. But I was really liking those first 35 pages, so I would very much like to finish this up hopefully soon. Then System Collapse seems like a no-brainer. I feel like that'll be really easy to read this month. I think I'm gonna finish up Emily Wilde today. I might even read the second one. I might listen to the audiobook of the second one as well because it's so good. I love the series so much. You can't see it, but like it's right here. definitely like my top favorite series. Like every time I reread it, I'm like, oh, like it's so good, it's so good. And then finally we have the Dungeon Anarchist cookbook. I was gonna figure out where I was in this book, but my phone's all the way over there, so no offense, I'm not gonna do that. But I think I was like maybe 100 or so pages into it, so like not super far in terms of like how long this book is. But I think I will continue to listen to the audiobook of it throughout the month because the audiobooks are stunning, obviously. So there we go. And then the 2 book of the month books, which are over there and I also don't want to grab, but you saw them. We talked about them. So I've only managed to take 1 book off of the TBR, so now we're at 14, which like, I feasibly, yes, I could, but like realistically, maybe I won't. But we're gonna see. I have, you know, like big reading plans for January, and I feel like if there's ever a time to have big reading plans, it's January. Obviously, I would love to know what books you guys have on your January TBR. Is there anything that you are super excited about? Did you start off the year with anything intimidating? As I said, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, very intimidating to me, but we're gonna give it a go and we're gonna see. Before we go, I would like to thank Book of the Month again so much for sponsoring this video. Don't forget you can get your first book for just $5 using the code GOALS. Also, I'd like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you're ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. As I said, we are going to be reading The Spear Cuts Through Water this month, and we will be having a live discussion about it at the end of January, which I'm very excited about. I feel like this will be a good book club book, so I can't wait for that. But with that, I think that is everything that I have for you guys in this video. I hope you enjoyed going through my very first TBR of the year with me. You know, as I've said, it's a little bit ambitious, but I'm very excited about all of these. I hope you all have had a lovely start to your 2026. I hope you all had a lovely new year, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!